You Good evening, and thank you for joining People's Parliament. Tonight, we'll take a look at a number of social, regional, national, and international issues as it borders on the Nigerian people in terms of social, political, economic, and political space is heating up already out of 2027. Welcome to Condem Media TV. I am your host, Mr. Ako Christian, Chair, otherwise known as D. Process. It's a pleasure to have you being part of tonight's program. We are going to be looking at a number of items, starting with the upcoming Condem NEC meeting scheduled for Abuja on the 17th of March, 2026. Of course, it's not just a NEC meeting, it has also been operated with a national summit to have a discussion around the ADC primaries and other matters arising in the ADC, as well as the membership registration drive and all that. So all that will culminate into topics that will be looked into ahead of the COPDEM summit in Abuja. Then number one, COPDEM holds a meeting, the summit for ADC scheduled for 17th March 2026, as I told you earlier. And of course, the theme of the summit is from opposition to government, from opposition to government. And of course, building the winning coalition for Nigeria come 2027. Building the winning coalition has a message in there, right? There's a saying that when you make your product attractive, it will embrace and attract the attention of the masses. Any marketer understands the needs of presenting a viable product in the market. When you present a viable product in the market out there, you don't struggle to sell it, and that's what, from look of things, the team of the conference already projected, building a winning coalition that takes note of the national mood and what Nigerians actually want and are ready to lay down their lives to defend. So number two on the item is ADC online registration surges amidst Mr. Peter Obi's ratification or revalidation of its membership just last week, which has led to massive registration on the ADC portal. Of course, there are many onlookers that have been waiting to see what becomes of the decision of His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi going forward into the ADC. And of course, having seen that he has ratified and revalidated his membership, that has encouraged and spurred a number of Nigerians across the country surging into the ADC website, www.adcregistration.ng, and there have been massive influx of registration since last week. And of course, number three, Tambuwal effects to ADC, right? In the wave of the move, where Nigerians as well as opposition figures are beginning to gather the atmosphere in ADC, we expect that all this move will culminate into the voting strength and the reality of protection of votes in 2027. Number four, kidney disease. So, kidney disease, we'll be looking at kidney diseases as well as the organ harvesting. Organ harvesting have been believed or traced to the ongoing kidnapping across Nigeria as well as other African countries, where there have been massive kidnapping for ransom, and victims are believed to have been harvested in previous incidences, and their organs have been used as part of this black market of kidney harvesting that ravage the Nigerian community. Yeah, it is unbelievable that the Nigerian health sector will create this dark spot for kidney harvesting across Nigeria. Now, ordinarily, kidney, just like every other organ of the body, like blood and all that, there's a standardized procedure of donating, and there's a standardized procedure of buying kidney for those in need of it. But the situation where black market sports have been tolerated for so long, this has affected the handling of kidney transplants globally. And of course, the developing countries are paying heavily. This is believed to have inspired and expanded the kidnapping activities across Nigeria in particular. Where government presence across ungoverned spaces are seen to be ineffective. There have been so many ungoverned spaces across Nigeria giving room for these sharp practices of organ harvesting. It's a very sad thing, and it shows how weak the Nigerian government have been over the years. Now, of course, we'll be looking at number 6 on the item for tonight, which is PO received a very presidential welcome in Gambia, an African country that understands the need to have a personality like His Excellency Mr. Peter in their country. Visiting, and he was welcomed, giving a very rousy welcome, presidential welcome by not just the government, but the people of Gambia, as well as Nigerians that are living in Gambia, were all at the airport to welcome to their country. And of course, His Excellency Mr. Peter was duly handed the key to the gates of their city, which is symbolic to welcoming a very important continental guest to their country. You can see the government of Nigeria are stopping the movement of Mr. Peter Obi, but other African countries are happy to have him visit their country. You cannot tell how dubious the Nigerian government have been, particularly the APC-led administration that have been clamping down on opposition figure, all in an attempt to create a one-party system. You see previously, His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi has corroborated that the Tinubu-led administration are trying so hard to ensure that it doesn't get a platform, and that no matter what they do, he will be on the ticket come 2027. It remains to be seen how this will play out, but we expect that the ADC will do the needful and offer the people of Nigeria another glimmer of hope of rescuing Nigeria, because as it is today, Nigeria has been ruptured beyond imagination. A lot of corruption, a lot of non-accountability. I mean, name it. There are so many for you to mention. Nigeria needs urgent fix, and not just anyhow candidates can just fix it. As at in 2015, when the need arose for coalition of opposition, there was no any primaries that was held in the APC as at 2014. Even the current occupant of the Aso Rock, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, queued behind the late President Muhammadu Buhari, not because Buhari had more financial muscle, not because of any other factor other than the masses as at then actually were yearning for Buhari's presidency. And Tinubu read between the lines and said, what? Presenting myself at this point will be a recipe for failure. He therefore propagated and presented Muhammadu Buhari to Nigerians in 2015, and he allowed that to happen again in 2019. Before now stepping forward in 2023. You can see the logic behind queuing behind a credible candidate. In this case, when you look at the current formation of the ADC, you cannot tell who across voices, across the geopolitical zone, across well-meaning Nigerians. The name of the candidate that often make the list when it comes to capacity, when it comes to competency, when it comes to credibility, when it comes to transparency, not just in promises, but in actions of the past when he was in government. So if anybody coming to you telling you rhetorics of what he or she aims to achieve when given the power, if it's an individual that have occupied public office before, it's very easy. Just do a fact check on them, and you can tell whether they are advocate of what they are preaching. All right, let me not bore you. I'll be proceeding straight to the commentary for today, which is centered on the ADC primaries, a needless and risky ritual, and in desperate times, of course. The call for a people-oriented consensus. That is what this commentary stands for. I'm calling for people-oriented consensus in order not to waste everybody's time, because as it is, as of today, the ADC website has been infiltrated. Imagine the website has been open to all Nigerians to register. And you know what that means. The moles, the APC moles, of course, will take advantage of this and mobilize their members to register heavily on this platform. When they eventually get their membership card, they become an authority in the party. Given the financial support they will have, they will be able to buy more members on their side and influence decision of the party in the present and in the future. So the coalition that COBDEM, for instance, suffered to advertise to Nigerians is not what the current crop of ADC leaders are preparing for the party. When the party is so porous for infiltration, as a matter of fact, due to the exigency of trying to meet up with INEC requirements of membership base, that led ADC to opening up the membership registration online. Not as if maybe they were prepared for it. And who is screening the authenticity of these applicants that are applying to become members of the ADC? These same people may have been planted by APC to distort and destabilize the party in the long run, or even in the short run, who knows? So the best way to solve this awaiting recipe of anarchy and violence during primaries is just to agree on consensus. That will solve little of the brewing challenges that is lying ahead of the ADC. Of course, when primaries, a contentious one at that, as it's been anticipated, it's been contested in any political party, there will be massive violence, there will be supporters clashing, across board. And at the end of the day, contestants who felt the process were not followed will head to where? They will head to courts. Or they will end up setting up a parallel structure. All these are confusion and challenges that are waiting ahead of time. At the end of the day, ADC may end up having multi-headed leadership, where there are not just one, two, or three, there will be more parallel structures claiming ownership of the ADC. In order to avert this, it's very simple. They can call on the NEC and agree on a consensus candidate that resonates with the wishes and aspirations of Nigerians. That will not be difficult to sell during the general election. That candidate, if they actually know what to do and are interested in the continuity and the survival of Nigeria, they know exactly what to do. But if they put greed ahead of themselves, then it will be difficult for them to actually toe the path of the masses. And of course, the end result is what is clear to everyone, as clear as the cloud. Nigerians want a genuine change of direction, a change that will lead to betterment of the society, we cannot continue on this path. Nigeria as it is today has no any realistic measure of improvement. None. The only improvement we had is by these propagandists who come to defend the government, like Daniel Bwala, Reno Omokri, who had previously, of course, confessed to the fact that APC cannot make any progress in the lives of Nigerians. But today, they're all over the media defending APC. Of course, you understand the reason why they are doing that. They are doing that for their selfish interest, nothing more. So I'll be taking a commentary on today, which is looking at ADC primaries, needless, risky ritual in desperate time, call for people-oriented consensus. As Nigeria approach yet another decisive political season, the question of how political parties select their candidates has once again come to the forefront in asking how the political party selects their candidates in the primaries. Within the ADC, of course, the debate over whether to conduct traditional primaries or adopt a consensus approach is becoming increasingly significant. No matter how you want to push it aside, it's clear that for the ADC to survive and not have any parallel structures coming out from the primaries, and being able to beat the INEC deadline and all the requirements, one of the approach is to go by consensus candidates and people-oriented consensus candidates, and that's not just the elites-oriented candidates, but the people, because it's the people at the end of the day that will vote and defend these votes at the polling unit. So if you carry out decisions without involving them, you know the recipe that is waiting ahead of you at the primary, at the general elections. So ordinarily, party primaries are considered an essential democratic process through which aspirants compete for the mandate of the party members. Of course, it's a very democratic means of achieving party flag bearers. However, in moments of national urgency and political realignments, rigid adherence to conventional procedures may become not only unnecessary but potentially counterproductive. Nigeria today faces a profound economic hardship, widespread insecurity, and deep public distrust in political institutions. In such circumstances, opposition parties seeking to present a credible alternative must prioritize unity, strategic coordination, and speed over rituals that could fragment their ranks. You know what that means? PWB is there contesting, Atiku is there contesting, Rotimi Amaechi is there contesting, Malami, all of them are there seeking what? One party ticket. At the end of the day, these supporters will not be one after the primaries. There will be fragmentation. So as a party that is coming up, there is need for what? Consensus. The consensus that resonates with the yearnings of the Nigerian populace. Within the ADC, many supporters believe the party is emerging as a platform capable of bringing together reform-minded Nigerians and political actors, seeking a renewed direction for the country. Yet, the introduction of highly competitive primaries at this delicate stage could, of course, reopen divisions, encourage factional battles, and weaken the momentum of a growing coalition. History has shown that contentious primaries often leave parties deeply divided, like I said earlier, with defeated aspirants and their supporters feeling alienated or sidelined in the scheme of things. In Nigeria political environments, such divisions frequently lead to defections, litigations, court upon court cases, or parallel party structures. Outcomes that can severely damage a party's electoral prospects. The moment Nigerians started hearing court cases, parallel structures here and there, litigations, disruptive primaries, the vibe, the momentum will just go off. It's part of the reason why we are advocating for consensus candidates that resonate with the people of Nigeria. A people-oriented consensus, by contrast, offer a more pragmatic path. Consensus does not necessarily mean imposition. When carefully managed, it can be the product of broad consultation among party leaders, grassroots stakeholders, civil society groups, and regional representatives. The goal should be to identify candidates who command wide acceptance, possess the competence to govern, and reflect the collective aspirations of Nigerians. If this is the goal of such consensus candidates, then it will be acceptable not just to party faithful, but to Nigerians in general. Furthermore, the evolving regulatory environment also strengthens the case for a consensus approach. The new guidelines introduced by the INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, particularly regarding party membership verification and the shift towards online membership registration platform, have significantly changed the internal dynamics of political parties in Nigeria, with many parties still in the process of updating of political parties membership base. Of course, with many parties still in the process of updating and validating their digital membership registers, conducting large-scale competitive primaries may become administratively complex, contentious, and vulnerable to dispute over eligibility or candidate or delegates' legitimacy. In this competitive atmosphere, there will be a lot of issues that can lead to litigations. In this context, pursuing a carefully negotiated consensus candidate, underline the word carefully negotiated consensus candidate, could help the ADC avoid unnecessary internal rancors or crises while it continues to strengthen and expand its verified membership base across the country. In moments of national crisis, political wisdom often requires flexibility. The ADC has an opportunity to demonstrate a different style of politics. The ADC, different style of politics, one that values cooperation over confrontation and collective interests over personal interests. If the party truly aims to present a united, credible, and credible alternative, ahead of future elections, it must resist the temptation to replicate divisive practices that have weakened many political platforms in the past. Taking a look at the PDP instance, where there was a fracture in the party even before the 2023 general election, because some candidates felt the primaries were already dollarized. So in order to avoid all this, consensus candidates will help to mend the wall and straighten the path going into 2027. What the moment demands is not a risky ritual of internal combat, but a deliberate inclusive, and people-driven consensus capable of strengthening the party and inspiring the confidence of Nigerian people across geopolitical zones, seeking genuine political renewal. This is the way to go for the ADC. They must look in within the ranks and collapse all structure into one formidable front to project and present a formidable people-oriented consensus candidate going into 2027. All right, on this note, I will open the mic for participation. Having looked into the topic of the day, what do you make of this topic as we have already outlined and discussed? Mala Ismail, you are welcome. Thank you for joining People's Parliament. Are you available to speak on the subject matter? We have Mala Ibrahim Dair also join us. We are about rounding up. The program has to round up by 7:40. We have to shut it down. And we have done justice to the topic of the day. We have taken a look at the COPDEN NEC meeting that is coming up in Abuja that aims to discuss from opposition to government, right? Building the winning coalition for Nigeria come 2027. And of course, we have also taken a look at ADC, the ongoing ADC online registration that is gaining surge, having seen the likes of His Excellency Mr. Peter B. Revalidating his membership. And all members of COPDEM, the freedom movement, and beyond, all well-meaning Nigerians are encouraged to register in ADC in attempt to be able to provide the people-oriented candidates, should it be the ADC insists on direct primaries. But our prayers is to have a consensus that reflects the yearnings of the Nigerian populace. So do we have contribution for you, please, as we are about to wrap it up on People's Parliament? Grace, you're welcome. Thank you for joining. So, Mala Ibrahim, do you have contribution before we wrap it up on People's Parliament? Dauda Ibrahim Amir, do you have contribution? We're already wrapping it up. And in case you are within or around Abuja, or you can plan to attend the COPDEM NEC meeting as well as the Youth Summit. I mean, the summit for ADC. COPDEM aim to plan a summit to help ADC at this critical time in decision making as well as administrative decisions going into 2027. So these are the things that we have discussed so far. And of course, Mala Aminu Tambuwal of the PDP has defected to ADC, as well as other senators and House of Rep members have also defected to the ADC. And of course, we spoke against the ongoing organ harvesting across Nigeria under the guise of kidnapping. Young people are being kidnapped and their organs are being harvested due to the growing kidney diseases that is ravaging over 10% of the global population. These are some of the things we have looked into, as well as the soaring cases of terrorism attacks. This has raised questions where some Nigerians are already asking the effectiveness of the appointment of the Minister of Defense in person of Christopher Musa, the current Minister of Defense. People are now questioning his effectiveness. And somebody jokingly said that even if you bring Jesus close to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he will stop performing. So that anything that, even though previously worked, when you come close to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that thing will no more work because of the nature of the president we have. There's need for leadership to play a lot of role. The quality of leaders you have determine the quality of services that you receive. The quality of leadership that you have as a country determine the quality of attention you get from government and even from the international community in terms of respect for your dignity, for your country. All this play a major role. So quality of leaders is very important. That's why we keep saying election have consequences. And for those who collect money and sell the entire Nigerians for a penny as low as 1,000, 2,000 to cast vote for APC. Here we are today. I only hope those 1,000 and 2,000 will be able to save you from terrorists when you are caught. There are some Nigerians, as we speak, that are currently in kidnappers' den. I watched a video where somebody was pleading for a ransom payment of 100 million naira. This hard time, where will such money come from? But that's the country where we are living. You know, Nigeria keep happening to us. So we must take ownership and be very deliberate about our involvement in political engagement, because at the end of the day, politics holds the key. If you like, pray 100 times, pray 1 million times, as a matter of fact. Fast throughout your lifetime. With the crop of leaders we have in APC that are piloting over affairs of Nigeria, we are not making any progress. It's not by prayer. When you pray and you don't walk, you don't act, it's useless. I mean, we have prayed enough, our forefathers have prayed enough, but because they allow this status quo to continue to rule them, has made the country not to make progress until our time. So, prayer is not the answer at this point. Prayer without works is wishful thinking. In Saudi Arabia, that is the Islamic headquarters of the world, they don't just pray, they act. They act. They serve the interests of their people deliberately. In Israel, the same thing. That is supposedly where Jesus Christ was born. They act. Whatever they want, they act on it. They don't just pray and go to bed. But here we are in Nigeria. We have a sitting governor in Borno State, right? That is advocating for prayer against Boko Haram instead of investing in technology, in drones, and engaging the military to deliberately wipe out the terrorists. In the same country, we still have a sitting national security advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, who claimed that the terrorists are his brothers. With all this scenario playing out, do you think we are going to make progress out of this? Until we get a true representation of the people. Leadership that are interested in the survival of Nigeria. If we don't get that, we'll just be rolling around the cycle of failure. We'll be rolling around it. Well, in the absence of further contribution, that is all from me in the studio. Thank you for joining, and do have a pleasant evening. I remain your host, Mr. Akko Christian, otherwise known as Due Process. I want us to look forward to a new Nigeria where competency, capacity, credibility, past record will form basis of the decision-making process of our people and the government as well. On this note, I want to thank you all for joining, for making our time to being part of the program. In subsequent edition, I believe that you'll be able to unmute and make your contribution and be part of the discussion. Thank you and God bless you. Good night and do have a lovely evening. Bye-bye. And remember to subscribe to Cobden Media TV. Please, if you are part of this program, you haven't done that, please search it on your YouTube channel. Just type Cobden Media. You'll see it. Please subscribe to Cobden Media. We want to enrich our media platform and make it robust for future engagements. Thank you and good night.